From as far back as I can remember, my family rooted itself in Innsbruck, a serene suburb outside of Richmond, with fewer than 10,000 inhabitants. The place operated like a small universe where everyone knew everyone, our abode. A two-story colonial with red brick and white trim sat neatly by Cox Road. One of the main arteries in this peaceful enclave, homes rarely hit the market. But luck struck when the Marsh family relocated for better job prospects. In the blink of an eye, their house found a new owner. My husband, Sam, was at his office that day, while I, taking a break from my consulting job, seized the opportunity to extend a neighborly welcome. Armed with a dozen double chocolate cookies, I ventured across the street. The new residents, adorned in Nightfall transit shirts, a company unbeknownst to me, were busy settling in. I approached one of them, a tall, sun-deprived man with dark red hair. "Interesting company name," I remarked. He explained that Nightfall was a family-owned business, specializing in swift and efficient relocations day or night, as he handed me a business card. The man introduced himself as Amon Alucard Crowley, the owner of Nightfall. His unnaturally wide smile and icy hand left me feeling uneasy. Amon assured me that Mr. Mortimer Ashcroft, the new homeowner, hadn't arrived yet but granted permission for the move, wanting to introduce myself. I inquired about the new owners. Amon suggested leaving the cookies on the kitchen counter. Feeling an indescribable heaviness upon entering the house, I proceeded with caution. The open windows failed to dispel the darkness that hung in the air. As I made my way toward the kitchen, an unsettling sensation of being watched halted me in my tracks. Even though Amon insisted Mr. Ashcroft wasn't present, I glanced around the dimly lit interior. The unlit hallway and open staircase giving the house an eerie feel. A fleeting movement on the upstairs landing caught my eye. But upon investigation, there was nothing, probably just a trick of the light, I reasoned. A shiver of paranoia coursed through me, urging me to hasten my steps toward the kitchen. Once in the kitchen, I set the plate of cookies on the dark granite countertop of the island. Spotting a pad of paper and a pen on the mahogany dinner table, I scribbled a brief note, including my name and phone number to welcome the Ashcroft family to the neighborhood. The note rested on top of the cookies covered in plastic wrap. Intent on a quick exit, I made my way to the front door as I approached. Two movers wrestled an impressively large framed painting. Into the house, the artwork, seemingly ancient, depicted a charismatic figure from the 1600s. My lack of historical expertise didn't prevent me from assuming it was a cherished family heirloom with the pathway clear. I stepped outside and returned to the comfort of my home across the street. Dark clouds gathered as I prepared a cup of black tea, losing myself in a book. The earlier unease and the mysterious ambience of the Ashcroft home slipped from my thoughts. Nestled in my armchair, by the stone fireplace, the kids, Beth and Naomi, burst in with tales of schoolyard drama, their animated chatter about Jill's bloody nose, and Mary's expulsion from the circle for having a crush on the same boy, who happened to be Jasmine's crush too, absorbed me. Sam's arrival in the driveway signaled a welcome distraction from the day's peculiar encounters. Across the street, Sam and I decided to cap off the Friday evening. With a pizza dinner from Mama Cucina, a family favorite, we ordered through DoorDash. And with a steaming pizza box in hand, we settled down in front of the television with the kids to watch a Disney Pixar film, Elemental. As the opening credits rolled, the doorbell chimed. Announcing the arrival of our dinner, I volunteered to fetch the pizza, tossing the throw blanket aside and making my way to the front door. Opening it, I exchanged thanks with the delivery driver, but as I started to close the door, a flash of dull red caught my attention. Peering past the departing Dasher, I noticed the moving truck had vanished, replaced by a sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom in the driveway. An unusual deep red glow emanated from the front windows. Intrigued, I stared for a moment, trying to discern any details inside, but it remained mysterious. Deciding it was best to mind my own business, I closed the door and carried the pizza into the family room. For the movie, after Elemental concluded and the kids retreated to their rooms, Sam and I finally had some quiet time together. He shared news about a significant project assigned by his boss, hinting at the potential for a promotion and raise if successful. Changing into his pajamas, he turned to me with a smile. "How was your day, Theo? Have you met our new neighbors yet?" I shook my head, my initial smile fading into a more somber expression. "No, not yet. I baked cookies and took them over. But they weren't there. The movers mentioned the last name is Ashcroft. I left the cookies and a welcoming note. It seems they've arrived." There was a car in the driveway and lights in the house when the pizza arrived. "Maybe we can catch them tomorrow." The room felt surreal as I stumbled backward, shaken by the bizarre encounter with a ghostly creature in Naomi's room. My surroundings shifted, and now I found myself standing in Naomi's bedroom. The only illumination came from the bed and the bedside table, casting an eerie glow. Naomi lay in the bed, appearing perfect like a porcelain doll, while Sam knelt beside her, head bowed and tears streaming down his face. "Sam, what is happening?" I called out in a trembling voice, my confusion and fear escalating. Sam's sobbing intensified, making it difficult for him to speak. He lifted his head, his eyes red and puffy, locking onto mine. "The Ashcrofts," he managed to utter between sobs. "They're not human. They brought something with them." As he spoke, the room seemed to warp again, and I found myself back in the hallway, the sanguine glow pulsing. I had to find answers, find Sam, and understand the nightmarish reality that unfolded. The sobbing echoed from the right, leading me towards the kids' rooms once more. The hallways stretched unnaturally, but my determination to find my family overshadowed the oddity, reaching Beth and Naomi's rooms. I discovered a pale, gangly figure beneath the console table in front of the picture window. This unearthly being curled up in fetal position, heaving as if hyperventilating. My concern masked my fear as I knelt down and reached out to touch the shoulder. Before my fingertips connected, the creature whipped around, positioning itself on its knees, and let out an ear-shattering scream. The creature, white as a ghost, lacked eyes, and as its face elongated in a scream, the skin tore apart, revealing a pitch-black void. Stumbling backward in shock, I turned to flee, only to find myself now in Naomi's bedroom. The bed and bedside table were illuminated, and Sam was on his knees beside Naomi, sobbing. "Sam, what is happening?" I repeated, the confusion and terror tightening its grip on me. As the nightmarish scenes unfolded, leaving me desperate for answers, the surreal nightmare continued, the scenes shifting with every blink. Now standing in front of a fireplace with a high-backed velvet chair, the flames inside ignited, casting shadows across the floor. The warmth was comforting, providing a stark contrast to the chilling events that unfolded. I took a step closer, attempting to peek around the back of the chair, to identify anyone sitting in it. Suddenly, a deep, smooth voice resonated, cutting through the crackling of the fire. "What is the one thing in this world that you want the most?" Confused and disoriented, I responded. "I don't know what you mean," the voice persisted, its tone mysterious and compelling. "Whatever you want most can be yours. You know what you need to do." Driven by a strange force, I walked forward and cautiously looked over the side of the chair. To my horror, I was met by the shrieking, blood-soaked face of Sam, mere inches from my own. His eyes, rolled back, seemed to pierce through my soul as he continued his accusatory screams. "You did this." Terror surged through me as I recoiled, stumbling backward away from the grotesque sight. The room continued to morph, and I found myself back in the hallway, the crimson glow pulsing rhythmically. The muffled cries echoed again, leading me in the opposite direction. As I followed the sound, the hallway seemed to stretch endlessly, distorting the familiar layout of our home. Each step felt heavy, laden with the weight of the surreal nightmare. The sanguine glow intensified, creating an oppressive atmosphere that permeated the air. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I reached a door at the end of the elongated hallway. The muffled cries were now louder. More desperate, with trepidation, I slowly opened the door, revealing a room bathed in an otherworldly red light. The source of the cries became clear. It was Beth. Lying on a bed, her face contorted in fear. Standing beside her was the same pale, ghostly figure, its presence sending shivers down my spine. The creature turned its head towards me, its void-like eyes locking onto mine. As Beth's cries grew louder, the figure extended a slender, elongated hand towards me, beckoning me closer. In that moment, paralyzed by fear and confusion, I had to make a choice that would unravel the mysteries of this nightmarish ordeal. My heart races as we rush back across the street. Following Beth into our home, the girls lead us to the family room, still visibly distressed. Sam and I glance at each other. Exchanging worried looks, we inspect the room, expecting to find a snake, but there's nothing. "Where did you see the snake, sweetie?" I ask Beth, trying to calm her down. In the hallway near the bedrooms, she stammers, eyes wide with fear. Sam and I exchange puzzled glances. We check the hallway thoroughly, but there's no sign of any snake. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense, and I can't shake off the feeling that something is amiss. Mort, seemingly concerned, joins us in our home. "Is everything all right?" he inquires, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Sorry, Mort. False alarm, I guess," Sam responds, shooting me a puzzled look. The girls, still frightened, insist that they saw a snake. Mort's emerald eyes seem to linger on them for a moment. Too long. It's unnerving, but I dismiss it as paranoia stemming from the earlier nightmare. As we try to reassure the kids, Mort suggests, perhaps it was just a vivid imagination. Moving to a new place can be overwhelming, especially for children. "Yeah, maybe," Sam says, still visibly perplexed. We thank Mort for his concern, and he takes his leave, gracefully gliding back to his home. I can't shake the feeling that Mort is somehow connected to the strange occurrences of the past day, but I can't put my finger on how. The day continues with a cloud of unease lingering over our household. The kids are eventually distracted, but Sam and I exchange concerned glances whenever the topic of the snake comes up. I can't shake off the memories of the nightmare and the eerie encounter with Mort. As the day draws to a close, Sam suggests we keep an eye on the girls and make sure they feel safe. We decide to have a quiet family night, hoping to shake off the strange events that have unfolded. Little do we know that the nightmare is far from over, and the mysteries surrounding Mort Ashcroft are about to deepen. Mort leans back in his chair, a bemused expression on his face. "Ah, Theodore Du Bois. Your desires are entwined with the supernatural, the ethereal. I can sense them, hear them. You long for something, and I can make it happen. All you need to do is agree to my terms." I look around the room, desperately searching for an escape or any sign of my daughter. The symbols on the walls seem to pulsate with an otherworldly energy. Mort's presence feels suffocating, his words echoing in my mind. "I have the power to fulfill your deepest wish, but it comes at a cost, a small cost." Mort emphasizes, a wicked gleam in his crimson eyes. "All I ask is a simple task, a favor that will be revealed in due time once completed. Your desire will be granted." I wipe away the tears and try to steady my voice. "I don't understand. What could I possibly desire that would involve this nightmare?" Mort leans forward, his demeanor shifting from charismatic to intense. "Everyone has a secret desire, Theodore. Yours is no different. I am merely a facilitator, a conduit for the supernatural. The choice is yours." I contemplate the surreal situation, grappling with the fear that has consumed me. The symbols on the floor seem to whisper promises and warnings simultaneously. Mort watches my inner turmoil with a patient expression. "Take your time, Theodore. The night is young." and our pact awaits completion, I feel a mixture of dread and curiosity. A father's love for his daughter clashes with the allure of fulfilling an unknown desire. The room seems to warp and twist, as if reality itself is being tested. Mort's voice echoes. What is the one thing in this world that you want the most? I close my eyes, trying to block out the overwhelming sensations. When I open them again, Mort is gone, and I find myself back in the living room of my own home. The symbols have vanished and the candles extinguished. The weight of the encounter lingers, leaving me uncertain of what lies ahead. Terrified for Beth and disturbed by the surreal events, I rush to check on my family. Little do I know that the pact with Mort Ashcroft has set in motion a series of events that will unravel the fabric of our lives in ways I could never have imagined. The charismatic male figure from the painting seems to come to life, stepping out of the frame and standing before me. Mort Ashcroft, now in the flesh, wears a subtle, confident smile. Welcome, Theodore Du Bois. I see you've come to a crossroads, a point where desires and fears intertwine. You've tasted the surreal, glimpsed the otherworldly, and now it's time to make a choice, Mort declares, holding out his hand. I hesitantly take a seat on the couch, eyeing him warily. What do you want from me? Why are you doing all this? Mort chuckles softly. I am merely a conduit, a guide between realms. Your desires beckon, and I answer. As for what I want from you, it's quite simple. A pact. I offer fulfillment, and in return, you'll carry out a task of my choosing. I take a deep breath, realizing that my experiences, both in the dreamlike encounters and the startling revelation of my terminal illness, have led me to this surreal moment. What is this task, and why me? Mort's eyes narrow slightly, a subtle shift in his demeanor. The task will be revealed when the time is right. As for why you, Theodore, you intrigue me. Your fears, your desires, the complex tapestry of your life, it resonates with the ethereal. You hold a key, and I offer you a door. I consider the offer, my mind racing with thoughts of family, mortality, and the uncertain future. Mort patiently waits, his eyes piercing through the layers of my soul. If I agree to this pact, what happens next? I ask cautiously. Mort extends his hand further, a gesture inviting me into an unseen realm. You'll gain what your heart desires most, a resolution to your deepest longing. But remember, every gift comes at a cost, and every choice has consequences. As I contemplate the implications, the image of Beth's mutilated form flashes in my mind, a stark reminder of the horrors I've witnessed. The weight of my impending death looms, and the desire for a chance to alter fate claws at the edges of my consciousness. I want to see my family safe, happy, and unburdened by my impending departure. I declare, my voice steady but laced with desperation. Mort nods approvingly. A noble desire, Theodore. Your pact is sealed. The world around me shifts, the living room dissolving into an otherworldly realm. Mort's enigmatic presence surrounds me, as the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blur. My journey into the unknown has just begun, and the consequences of my choice remain shrouded in mystery. The weight of guilt and horror settles upon me. As I recount the gruesome events, I find myself in a secluded cabin, far from the chaos that unfolded back home. Every news report, every headline, paints me as a deranged murderer, and the truth I discovered in Mort Ashcroft's realm seems like a twisted nightmare. My quest for a second chance at life has turned into a living nightmare. I contemplate whether I should end my own life to escape the agony or face the consequences that await me if captured. My existence now hangs in limbo, caught between a reality stained with blood and the supernatural realm that promised me a new lease on life. The memories of my encounter with Mort Ashcroft replay in my mind. I remember the warmth of the sunlight, the promise of a cancer-free life, and the disturbing revelation that my desires had already exacted a heavy toll on my family's lives. I struggle with the overwhelming grief, Unable to comprehend the devastation that occurred while I was seemingly asleep, questions swirl in my mind, haunted by the uncertainty of whether I was a mere pawn or the architect of the horrifying acts. The concept of an otherworldly bargain gone wrong looms over me like an inescapable shadow. As I weigh my options, the cabin feels increasingly like a prison. The walls close in, echoing the torment within my soul. I grapple with the guilt, the loss, and the crushing weight of responsibility for the atrocities committed. Amid the despair, a flicker of defiance sparks within me. If I am to be hunted, if the world perceives me as a monster, then I will not surrender without a fight. I must uncover the truth behind Mort Ashcroft's macabre bargain and expose the malevolent forces that manipulated my fate. With this newfound determination, I make a decision. I will not let darkness consume me. I will confront the enigma of Mort Ashcroft and the painting that lured me into this nightmare. The answers lie in the supernatural. Mysteries that surround me. Can I hope to redeem myself or, at the very least, bring the truth to light, leaving the cabin behind? I embark on a perilous journey, guided by an unrelenting need for answers, and a desire to confront the sinister forces that turned my dreams into a waking nightmare. The hunt for truth and redemption has just begun, and whether I find solace or damnation remains uncertain in the twisted web of the supernatural. Mort Ashcroft reclines in his luxurious chair, a self-satisfied grin on his face as he watches the news coverage. The plan has unfolded perfectly, casting shadows over the Du Bois family and leaving Theo as the unwitting perpetrator of the gruesome acts. Mort revels in the chaos he has sown, blending seamlessly into the fabric of his new life in a sunny Miami suburb. As the news anchor mentions Mort as a person of interest, he chuckles, well aware of the confusion and fear spreading through the community. The facade he crafted as the charming neighbor begins to crumble, revealing the malevolence that lurks beneath the surface. Mort's power extends beyond the physical, entangling the lives of those who cross his path. The mysterious painting, the supernatural bargains, and the dark forces at play have made him an architect of nightmares, manipulating the destinies of unsuspecting victims. Meanwhile, the authorities close in on the No-Tell Motel where Theo Du Bois is held captive by his own twisted fate. The news reports the alleged threats, incoherent ramblings, and a suicide attempt that miraculously failed. Little do they know that the real puppeteer remains hidden in plain sight, orchestrating the narrative to suit his own sinister agenda. Mort glances out of his window, observing his new neighbors approaching with warm smiles and introductions. The sun-kissed streets of Miami create a stark contrast to the darkness that shadows Mort's actions. The unsuspecting residents believe they are welcoming a charismatic newcomer, unaware of the malevolent force that has embedded itself within their midst. As Mort greets his new neighbors, the facade of geniality remains intact. Behind his emerald eyes, a glimmer of amusement betrays the satisfaction he derives from the chaos he has orchestrated. The chess pieces are in place, and Mort Ashcroft, the puppet master, continues to weave a web of supernatural intrigue and terror. The story unfolds with a chilling certainty, leaving those who dare to venture into the realm of Mort Ashcroft entangled in a web of nightmares and despair. The true nature of this enigmatic figure remains shrouded in mystery, a darkness that thrives on the unsuspecting souls that cross his path.